When God's silence seemed deafening, a message changed everything. There are 3 secret, almost imperceptible signs that he sends to confirm that your victory is on its way. What you think is abandonment is, in fact, the final preparation for the miracle. Discover the silent language of heaven before the door you have been waiting for finally opens. Your answer is closer than you imagine. What if I told you that God's silence is, in fact, his most powerful answer? I know what it's like to be on your knees with a tired soul and feel that your prayer doesn't go past the ceiling. It's an agony that makes us wonder, has God forgotten me? Why doesn't he answer me? We look for signs. We look to the sky hoping for a clear answer, while our hearts drown in restlessness. But today, we are going to turn this game around. The message God gave me for you is clear and direct. Calm your heart, child. I am taking care of everything. And he proves this not with thunder, but with whispers. There are 3 silent signs he sends when your victory is closer than you imagine, and most people never learn to see them. Stay with me until the end, because by understanding this secret language of divine love, your anguish will turn into hope. You will no longer fear the silence, for you will recognize it as the fertile ground where your blessing is about to flourish, the echo of doubt and the whisper of hope. You know that moment when you stop, look at the size of your dream, or perhaps the size of the problem in front of you, and a little voice whispers in your ear, "It's too big for you." This voice, which echoes our insecurities, is an old acquaintance to all of us, and it paralyzes us with the weight of our own limitations. We do the math, look at our resources, at our strength, and the numbers never seem to add up. It's the logic of the world telling us to give up before even trying, to retreat in the face of the mountain. This is the time when our hearts become most restless, searching for a way out, a solution that doesn't seem to exist within us. But the history of our faith was written by people who, just like us, heard this same voice. Think of the disciples, common men, fishermen, who looked at the mission Jesus gave them and surely felt small. Their strength was not in what they were, but in who was with them, turning the impossible into reality. And it is exactly here that our journey begins. Because when our strength runs out, God's is just beginning to manifest. But how do we flip this switch? How do we silence the echo of doubt to finally hear the whisper of divine hope that says we are not alone in this battle? The divine exchange. Surrendering weakness to receive strength. The first step to accessing God's unlimited power is not trying to be stronger, but having the courage to admit our weakness. Think of it like trying to fill a glass that is already full of dirty water. First, you need to empty it. In the same way, we need to empty our hearts of pride, fear, and self-sufficiency. This surrender happens through sincere prayer, that honest conversation where you open your soul and say, "God, I can't carry this alone anymore." It is not an act of defeat, but the greatest act of faith one can have. It is to recognize that your strength has a limit, but the divine love that dwells in you through the Holy Spirit does not. The Bible is full of heroes who made this same exchange. Gideon felt he was the least in his family. Moses didn't think he was a good speaker. David was just a young shepherd before a giant. Their strength came not from their abilities, but from the decision to trust that God was greater than their insecurities. But, in practice, how does this exchange work? What happens at the exact moment you decide to stop fighting with your own hands and hand over control to Him? There is a clear sign, a peace that begins to sprout in the midst of war, and that is what we are going to talk about now. Topic 3, the first silent sign, an inexplicable peace. Right after your sincere surrender, the first sign God sends is not thunder in the sky, but a silence in your soul. It is what the Word calls the peace that surpasses all understanding. Suddenly, in the midst of the hurricane, of financial uncertainty, of a medical diagnosis, an inexplicable calm begins to take over your heart. This peace makes no sense to human logic, and that is why it is a divine sign. The peace of the world depends on the absence of problems, but the peace of God settles in despite them. It is the Holy Spirit hugging you from the inside and whispering, "I am here. I am in control. Calm down, for the battle is not yours. It is mine." Remember the scene where Jesus slept peacefully in the stern of a boat while a violent storm threatened to sink everything. The disciples, experienced men of the sea, were in a panic. Jesus' peace did not come from the calmness of the sea, but from the certainty of God's power over any storm. This is the peace he offers you. But this peace is just the beginning. It is the foundation. It quiets your soul so that you can perceive God's next move. Once the noise of fear is gone, you gain the clarity to see the second sign, which begins to appear in the small details of your daily life. The second silent sign, the divine coincidences. With a heart at peace, your spiritual eyes and ears open in a different way. It is here that the second sign begins to manifest, the divine coincidences. These are those little things that happen that are too perfect to be mere chance, functioning as direct confirmations of your prayer. It could be a message a friend sends you that says exactly what you needed to hear, or you open the Bible and a verse seems to jump off the page, answering your anguish. Sometimes it's an opportunity that appears out of nowhere, a door slightly ajar, or even a new idea born in your mind that brings immense clarity. These signs are the Holy Spirit's way of telling you, I heard you. Stay on the path, keep trusting. Each small confirmation is like a drop of hope, a gentle reminder that God is weaving your victory behind the scenes, even if you can't yet see the full picture he is painting. These confirmations, however, are not the final destination. They are the fuel for the journey. They strengthen your faith for the grandest step. They prepare you for the third sign, which is when God not only confirms the path but removes the obstacles and opens the doors definitively. The third silent sign, the opening of doors. After the peace that calms and the confirmations that guide, comes the third sign, action. This is the moment when God not only whispers but moves mountains. It's the doors that open where before there were only walls, the solutions that appear in ways you could never have imagined on your own. That job opportunity that seemed impossible, the healing of an emotional wound you've carried for years, the restoration of a relationship that was lost. When God's time comes, what was stuck begins to flow. It's not luck, it's divine love manifested. The hand of God unlocking the doors he has prepared for you. It is crucial to understand that this door only opens when you are ready to walk through it. The waiting period in which you experienced the first two signs was your training, your preparation. It was the period in which your faith was strengthened and your heart was molded to be able to receive the blessing that was on its way. These three signs, the peace, the confirmations, and the open doors, are the map of God's care in action. They show you that he was never absent. Now that you know this path, the question changes. It is no longer, where is God, but rather, am I ready to trust and walk through the door he is opening for me? Therefore, the journey to your answer is clear. First comes the inexplicable peace that quiets your inner war. Then, the small confirmations, the divine coincidences that show you the way. And finally, in God's perfect time, the door that was locked opens in a way that only divine love can. Your mission from today on is no longer to despair in search of a sign, but to live in a state of spiritual awareness. It is to train your eyes to see God's hand in the details, and your heart to feel his presence even in the silence. Always remember, he does not choose the qualified, he qualifies those who choose to trust. Now I want this message to overflow and create a chain of faith here on our channel. Therefore, I want to ask you a few questions. Which of these three signs have you already experienced, perhaps without even knowing it was a message from heaven? Or which one do you feel you are living at this exact moment in your life? Leave your story here in the comments. Don't be ashamed to open your heart, as your testimony could be the confirmation that someone else was asking God for in prayer today. Let's turn this space into a mural of miracles and God's faithfulness. Always remember, he is taking care of everything. If this message touched your heart and strengthened your faith, don't keep this blessing to yourself. Leave your like so that this video reaches more people, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any word of hope, and activate the notification bell. Oh, and comment below the city from where you are watching us so that our faith community knows how far God's light is reaching. I also invite you to visit our channel and watch other videos we have prepared to bless your life.